jumping ahead a little bit, like when the old Chinese man comes back to recollect Gizmo.
You said jumping ahead a little bit. You went to the end of the movie.
Yes, I know.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Pointless Discourse with myself, Hoppocalypse, and DK.
Hello. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is why I had to move my webcam, but
It's
I don't
Christmas
know.
magic.
Guess I'll move it back to where it was so that it just looks like I have a filter all over me. Apologies for any video viewers for this.
It's all good. Well, while you do that, as is our tradition of things we made up, because I enjoyed saying hello and butchering at least over 100 languages. I have 2 Christmas facts.
2.
Yes. One is, you can thank Prince Albert for your Christmas tree. Brew a cup of tea when trimming your tree. Wait, was that supposed to rhyme? Anyway, this year, when you pay homage to its origins, when Prince Albert of Germany got a tree for his new wife, Queen Victoria of England, the tradition really took off across the pond. A drawing of people. Wow, I can't read. A drawing of a couple in front of the Christmas tree first. Wait, okay. I was playing Pathfinder, and there's a ton of reading, and that went very late last night. And so now I'm like, more reading. A drawing of the couple in front of a Christmas first tree appeared in Illustrated London News in 1848. To use the modern parlance, the idea went viral. I hate that. Okay. And then 16. I don't hate Christmas trees. I just hate that they added that. Oh, this is fun. We have the start of a tradition, and celebrating Christmas used to be illegal. I remember this. I actually do remember this. I don't remember when Saint Nick first became a thing. That you just close your blinds?
I opened them and closed them. I was like, maybe it'll get better, and then it got worse, so then I closed them again.
Yeah. So from 1659 to 1681, this is the Santa Claus story. Oh, what's his name? There will be no Christmas because no one gave me toys. Gringelmeister, whatever his name is. Anyone caught making Burgermeister. Anyone caught making merry in the colonies, well, of course, would face a fine for celebrating. By the Revolutionary War, the day had so little significance that Congress even held the first session on December 25th, 1789. Christmas wasn't even proclaimed a federal holiday for almost another century, proving that the Grinch's attitude towards the holiday was alive and well long before he was.
Christmas facts.
Yeah, I'm only trying to think of I don't know. I can't. Wow, I clicked on a different screen and the light went away. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it is fun to think about Christmas just as we ate a bunch of turkey.
Hey, look, nobody needs to know the timeline of us recording these very far out in the future.
I like to do it. So that way when we come back and everyone's like, yep, we haven't talked in 2 weeks. Maybe.
I've been getting spam on my phone, and I need to figure out what I accidentally agreed to.
I need to mute my phone. Yeah, that was me during the political season, to where it made me, and if this offends anybody, good, it made me not vote.
In the midterms?
Yeah. I think I'm just going to keep a tally, and next year I'm just going to or next election season, I'm just going to vote for whoever sent me the less amount of spam.
That is one way to go about it.
Yeah.
But another way for me to upset people is I'm not registered. Sips not tea.
Yeah.
But yes, we were sharing Christmas facts because we are in the middle of the Christmas season. Don't let Itisdpayne trick you and tell you about turkey or anything.
Meh.
I may or may not have a cold again. I feel like I was sick like last month while we were recording podcasts. That was October, right?
Okay, I was trying to remember which month we're talking about. If we're
yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Colds come and go.
Yes, I have once again 2 days in a row tested negative. So, yes. Me and you, we're part of this statistic.
We're holding the line. Introverts together.
But no, I did go to a concert on Monday. So I
saw your dad hats.
Yes, I bought many dad hats. I am obsessed with dad hats, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm just happy that it is just so far a cold, and it doesn't feel bad. I don't have a fever or anything, but I did roll my dice pretty well for us talking about our not so Christmas movie today. So I hope that you roll higher because my voice.
Well, you know what? I hope I roll low, so that way you can talk about this movie.
Oh boy, but yes. So.
Oh well, I rolled a middling number. That's what I get for trying to reverse psychology.
Yes, so we are in the middle of watching not so Christmas movies and ranking on them on how Christmassy they are. Basically out of 30, where we combine our two scores and figure out where it lands. So far we have watched. Sorry, I'm getting there. I'm clicking buttons.
I have it here. We watched The Green Knight, Mean Girls, Batman Forever, and Returns, and now we're
watched both.
Yep. And now we're on Gremlins.
So far, the most Christmassy of the movies is Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
And the least Christmassy, but not Christmassy, is Green Knight.
I am aglow again.
Our criteria is, does it take place in the Christmas season? Is there Christmas music? Are there Christmas decorations? Is there a Christmas moral? And does Santa appear? And Itisdpayne and I, to make it easy on ourselves, we either 3 yes, 1 no, and 2
It was a try. Yeah, so we're in Gremlins today, and I'm trying to think if there was anything fun. I think one of my favorite facts about Gremlins is that Gremlins was one of the reasons why the R rating was instituted.
Yeah, I was going to say, this was marketed towards kids, wasn't it?
Well, okay, so I wrote a paper in college on this, where originally the only settings they had, or ratings, it was G, PG, they had R. Sorry, I think this was the start of the PG-13 rating. I think they had, I don't remember if they had R or it was NC-17.
I remember NC-17 a lot growing up, and I don't see that anymore.
Yeah, well, I think NC-17 now, is a lot a lot worse now, because it's just like, well, if it's not R, it's NC-17, which means it shows all the filthy things. And then rated X. And this was almost 10 years ago when I wrote this. But yeah, so they had, this movie was rated PG, which now I think with the standards of everyone's stuff it would probably fit.
I think technically it would be
probably
13 because of alcohol and cigarettes.
Yeah. So anyway, they were doing that, and the way this movie was marketed was pretty much all anyone saw was Gizmo, I believe. They saw Gizmo, and everyone was like, oh, this is a movie with cute, cuddly, creatures and all that stuff, and so they wanted to go see it, and then, well, we'll get into it, but it's just what comes later in this movie was not what parents were thinking they were going in to see. It
And
was,
this is the time of it's on theaters. You paid for your tickets, you were sitting there, and you were just there.
yep. And so, yeah, I think shortly after, I'll see if on the IMDb if they have the trivia about this. But oh, that's interesting.
So I see this. It says the horror comedy was a critical and commercial success with a sequel released in 1990 titled Gremlins 2. Some took issue with the PG-rated film's violence, especially when Gizmo was marketed as a cute and friendly creature who would appeal to children. However, Chris Columbus's original script for Gremlins would have made it a gory R-rated movie before executive producer Steven Spielberg intervened. So I guess there were the scenes were gorier before Spielberg was like, "Hey."
Yes. So this movie and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom were credited and were pretty much the inspiration for the MPAA to create the PG-13 rating, because the movies felt too violent for PG but not violent enough for R. And for someone who's just done a little bit of research on that, those ratings are fluid, depending on who you have on the board and who reviews that movie. What we could assume is a PG-13 movie could be, as the board seen, as PG to R. It's like there's no. It is just up to their digression, their choice.
Discretion?
Yeah, that one. We'll go with that one. That sounds like a good word. So, but yeah. So, trying to think if there's anything else fun that I saw in here. No, I guess we can get into it. So, oh, by the way, because they haven't been released yet, and I haven't uploaded them yet for Hop. Hop is normally the one who does the thumbnails, because I don't know how to do that well.
Yes, and I've fallen out of the habit, and I haven't come back in yet.
That wasn't a slight against you. No, to anyone who's listening, I'm not saying that against Hop to get her to make it. It's just like, when she gets there, she gets to it. But I couldn't think of a name, because I'm like, what do I want to call this series? And I just called it, Is It Christmas?
That is not a wrong name for it.
Because I've been trying to find fun little snippets to find, but I'm just like, my brain wasn't working for me, so I'm just like, Is It Christmas? And that reminds me, once I'm done this, I gotta now render Mean Girls. But
apologies to video viewers. I cannot control my lighting today.
And this is the joy of us. Well, this is the joys of the hours deciding to move. But
daylight savings.
As much as I like that extra hour, how dare! Also, I don't know. Morning recordings are normally a little bit nicer. Oops.
You roll your dice to see who gets to talk about the movie?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Well, I did roll it, but then I was like, did we officially do the rolling?
Oh, I rolled mine because I roll mine on my phone app. But essentially, we roll our dice to see who gets to talk about the movie. Usually it'd be a back and forth, but we do just a quick summary of the movie, so then we give ourselves enough time to discuss how Christmassy is this Christmas movie. Mm-hmm. Air quotes around anytime I said Christmas.
Yeah. And for anyone that this is your first episode in with this, we set a timer for 30 minutes, talk about the big points of the movie, the stuff that we find was interesting. Not so much a review, but just like highlighting things that we thought were interesting. And then after that, what is it, brain? Yeah, and then after 30 minutes, we'll go into our grading system. And, then we kind of close it up there. So, let's see.
But do you have your Christmassy dice yet?
I have the stinky cheese die. I can find a Christmassy die.
But will it be a D20?
Yes, it will be. I'm trying to see. This one has no Christmas colors on it, but it's the first one I found that I don't normally roll. No, that's 11, so there's a reason that one's in the bag. So, what did you get, buddy?
My phone gave me a 16 this week, when every other week it doesn't give me anything. But here we are. And my lighting is all over the place. Okay, so spoiler warning.
Oh, yeah.
This movie is like...
It's almost 40 years old or something like that. It came out in 84.
Yeah, it's pretty old. But anyway, spoiler warning.
Okay, when you're ready, I will hit the start timer.
I'm ready.
The timer has started.
We open up with this traveling inventor who is in New York and is trying to get people to buy his invention so that he can get famous and rich. And then along the way ends up encountering Chinatown, in which I didn't love the depiction of Chinatown or the people in Chinatown.
Yeah, as soon as that came up, I'm like, yeah, this is coming up later.
This is weird. But yeah, so then he ends up walking around the shop, discovers a Mogwai, or what they call later as Gizmo. Very cute creature. The owner of the shop is like, I'm never going to sell it. The grandson gets it into the guy's hands, gives him the 3 rules that I think everybody knows to this point in day. Don't get them wet, no direct sunlight, they're scared of bright lights, and the most important, don't feed them after midnight. Mm-hmm. So then...
I do want to say, ever since I watched Batman Forever, when this movie started, I was like, oh my goodness, is there no Christmas? Like, it's been so long since I watched it, I was like... Oh no, did I pull another? This technically doesn't fit.
That's okay. Within the first 10 minutes, he goes, it's a Christmas gift for my son. Yeah. And it's weird because I was under the assumption his son was going to be like 12 from the way that it was framed.
That was the other thing I was...
It's been so long since I watched the movie, I didn't remember the setup.
I'm going to look up, how old is this kid supposed to be? I'm going to look this up.
Well, he works at a bank. He's got to be at least... 18, because they also say that he's supporting his whole family.
Yeah. So, and it's not like he goes to school.
No. But anyway, yeah, you can look that up on Wiki. So then it cuts back to the main character, who's this boy named Billy, who's on his way to work, and then deals with this guy who complains about foreign-made cars a lot, who is actually kind of important to the plot later. Walks to the bank, which I don't know why he ever drove his car, because he made it to the bank on time for work when he thought he was going to be late because his car wasn't going to start. Mm-hmm. But he made it in time to work at the bank. You find out that there's a Miss Deagle who kind of was like a real estate agent who's like kind of evil in town, and everybody is like, she's the Scrooge.
They saw Cruella de Vil and is like, yeah, let's do that.
But yeah, she's very much like the Scrooge, where she doesn't care it's Christmas, she just wants everybody's money, she hoards money, etc., etc. She doesn't give anyone a second chance. And then she starts making death threats to the main guy's dog, and I was like, I don't really like this.
Yeah.
And then you meet the love interest all while this is happening, because they're trying to save a local bar. Then you cut...
Katie.
Yeah. So then after you get introduced to Miss Deagle at the bank and her being mean to people, then they go back home and you find out that this is in fact the guy's son, the inventor from the beginning, because his whole house is full of these inventions that are like kind of work. Mm-hmm. And the mom is like super patient, oddly enough, because everything breaks and makes things harder and worse than they were initially, but she's just like, oh, that's just your dad. Just, he'll fix it later. Because he tries to crack eggs open and then they all just explode everywhere. And then later on, he like tries to use a juicer and that explodes everywhere. And then she has like a remote control to use a telephone and that doesn't work. Like nothing this guy makes works.
Yeah, it makes me wonder how. Like how.
They
Like,
say Billy supports the family with a job at the bank. So,
yeah.
different times.
Yeah, what?
Because he's just a bank teller.
Yeah. It's like when they were talking about like when they're in the bar and the rich boy is just going on and on about, it's like, yeah, man, I was this in the bank
Wait,
when I
that
was
guy's supposed to
20.
be like 23. Yeah, he's like, I'm 23. And I'm like, you're 23?
Yeah, so I guess
You
they're
look
all
so
around.
old.
I guess they're all around 20, like between 20 to 23. I'm guessing.
I would guess that as well. But yeah, so then Miss Deagle's making threats on the family for not making payments in time, but she takes it out on Billy, and then Billy's dog attacks her, rightfully so. But then they were like, to protect the dog, we think she might actually kill the dog. Like, as if, like, that's, like, a normal exception of the town. Everyone's like, she could actually kill the dog. Let's take the dog and, like, take it to grandmother's while I get to know this little furry creature that we call Gizmo. Billy is told the rules. Billy hangs out with Gizmo for a while. And then Billy is, oddly enough, like, really close friends with a kid in middle school. Because, like, he has a kid from middle school up in his attic. And, like,
Well, the
they
attic
share
is his
comics.
basement. Or, the attic is his bedroom.
Yeah, but the attic is his bedroom. Sorry,
Yes.
context.
Yeah, it
But-
was like that sounds really bad.
But the middle schooler comes over, reads comics, talks to Billy
Yeah.
and stuff, and then discovers the Mogwai, and Billy's explaining it, and then the kid accidentally drops water on him.
I would say. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, and then that's when everything goes wrong, because now that there's suddenly 5 more.
I'll say, like, with everything that happens, like, just jumping ahead a little bit, like, when the old Chinese man comes back to recollect Gizmo.
You said jumping ahead a little bit. You went to the end of the movie.
Yes, I know.
I thought you meant like a half hour later in the movie.
No, it's like, well, like, the whole what I'm about to say will make sense, because he's like, you guys are irresponsible and everything, and I'm like, everything that happens pretty much isn't Billy's fault. Like, the only thing probably would be feeding, but it's like, he looks at the clock and he's like, okay. Like, it's not like he fed them, like,
On
I want to
purpose.
see what happens. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, the water was spilled by clumsy middle school kid. The light that was by the mom by flashing the camera. Yeah, so it was just like all these different things where it's just like, Billy really didn't.
He did his best.
Yeah, like, he
The
followed
dad
rules.
was irresponsible.
Well, the dad, yeah, he can't even invent anything.
Can't invent
Well,
anything. He's
he
not there for
invented-
his family.
Yeah, it's yeah. Anyway, yeah, he was just the. I will say about the dad, like, at least he was like, because I don't know, I feel like also if this movie was like made maybe nowadays or something, the dad would have been like very hostile when it's time to put Gizmo back, but he's just like, nah, man, I'm sorry, like. and
I do like how you're just like, let's just talk about the ending before we even get to the halfway point.
Whatever. It's jumping around.
Anyway, so yeah, so then now that there's 5 of them, and then I know, and then I enjoyed the fact that Billy was like, "Wow, why are you guys so awful? It's like you're clearly neglecting them." Gizmo is in a bed, cuddling you, watching movies and reading comic books and enjoying his life, and these other 5 are like, "Please notice me. I want attention." He's like, "Shut up. I don't like you guys." And then his dad's like, maybe we can start breeding them and giving out to people. And then, of course, the neglected creatures, like you said, start to have some antics about them. Act like, little gremlins. They tie the dog up in the middle of the night. They chew up his clock so he can't tell what time it is. So then they get fed after midnight. And then Billy also decides to trust a middle school science teacher to do lab experiments on these poor things. And that one gets food after midnight, and then that's when they finally all start hatching into gremlins, and then it turns into the horror movie.
They have like their own alien xenomorph transformation.
Yeah, They keep saying like pupil state. I was like, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
it's called a pupae state, like
It's
Pupae.
not good. I don't know. I just have to say right now, for anyone just listening to the audio, you should go look at the video, because Hop's camera is given like a real like Instagram like. I'm waiting for the music to pop up where it's like the real thoughtful like. It's like, oh man,
Motivational speech.
yeah,
kind of
motivational.
thing.
Just like, you might smell like cheese today, but don't worry, someone loves the smell of cheese.
When one cheese closes,
you're ready.
when one cheese closes, another one opens.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, the horror movie begins where Billy goes to the middle school and finds the teacher dead. But the teacher, the science teacher, did experiment on him. He was like, "Don't worry, it won't hurt. I'll just take a little bit of blood." And it starts screaming. And he's like, "No, it doesn't hurt. Stop overreacting." I was like, "No, it's in pain."
Yep.
Anyway, so then that one comes to life and like starts terrorizing things and kills the science teacher. Then you jump to Billy's house and his mom is in like the cool like final girl stage where she's like sneaking
Yeah.
around and killing things and using things as shields and stuff.
Like unprompted. Like she just heard weird noises
In the attic. Yeah.
And then like sees the like weird things, and then like up to this point there's like no reason for her to go as hard as she does.
I know. It was very cool to see.
Yeah, it was like it's just like, I am pissed off at my husband. I'm gonna take it on these things.
She kills like what, all but one of them?
She kills, yes, or
Yeah.
two.
She
I
kills
can't
at least
remember.
3.
She kills 3, and there's 5 originally, and then the one at the school.
Yes. And then Billy comes home after she's killed a few of them and, like, uses the sword that, like, they keep dropping in the beginning of the movie to kill one of the ones that was in the Christmas tree.
Yeah, Stripe's the one that has the mohawk, and was like, they're like, he's the leader.
And he's the one running around and causing all the havoc. Eventually, they try chasing him down and dealing with it, and they track him down to... What I did enjoy was when they put Gizmo in the backpack and they have a little shot of him in the backpack, like, what's happening?
Yes.
Then they track him down to the YMCA, and Billy's like, "No, what are you doing?" And Stripe is like, "Look what I'm doing," and jumps in the pool, and it all bubbles and looks like a rave, and suddenly, a million gremlins.
Mm-hmm. That was a cool scene.
It was a very cool scene.
It was like, I'm guessing just threw like dry ice in there.
Probably, yeah. But the reason why I said the guy complaining about foreign stuff is kind of plot important is because he said the name of the movie, except he blamed foreigners, saying that they sneak gremlins into your foreign imports, and that's how they get you. And then he brings it up later when he gets attacked by his own batch of gremlins who come to his house and steal his forklift and mess with his cable television.
Mm.
And then, yeah, the gremlins just kind of wreak havoc on the town, destroying everything. And it leads Billy to having to track down Kate because they have this, like, 20-minute sequence of gremlin references in a bar. Because there was, like, Dirty Dancing, there was Risky Business, there was with all the gremlins dressed up from, like, different movies, and throwing glasses, getting really drunk, smoking a lot of cigarettes, and just, like, terrorizing this poor girl who said she works at the bar for free so that the owner doesn't have to pay somebody else so they can keep the business open.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on. There's one other thing we forgot to mention was Billy with Katie. Kate. She's like all she's walking her home, and she's like just like, wait, you hate Christmas? She's like, why does everyone freak out when I say I hate Christmas? And then it's just like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And then I don't know, the other thing I noticed was, it was just in my head, I'm like, because I think at that time a lot more people did this, and I was like, oh, he's letting her walk on the side with the cars. I'm like, oh, that's not cool.
The thing that made me laugh was, as a person, if someone was like, wow, how could you hate Christmas? And instead of just listening to me, it was like, you know, like she said, made me feel bad. And then goes, do you want to go on a date?
Yeah.
I'd be like, no. But she was like, oh, I've been waiting for this day. And I'm like, okay, I get it. There's nobody else in this town your age. There's been no evidence of anyone else in this town the same age as you two.
That and, like, let's see, Bank Man was just like, come in my house. You want to see my condo? It's super cool. And she's like, no. And then, like, the guy who's, like, yelling about the Gremlins and all that stuff, and he's like, and hates for anything that isn't American made, is also, doesn't he also hit on her for a second and just?
I don't think so. I think he's just asking to stay at the bar to drink more. And she's like, no, it's closing time.
Yeah, so she's like, get out. So I will say, this scene, because of this scene, Billy's also talking to the cops and showing them Gizmo and everything,
explaining that there's going to be thousands of gremlins.
Yeah. I fell asleep at this part and woke up about 10 minutes later. And then after that, I rewinded to watch my favorite scene in the movie, which is in that 10-minute part that I fell asleep. Which is Mrs. Deagle.
And her house of cats.
Her house of cats. And she gets what she deserves. Which makes you really wonder, are those gremlins really bad?
Yeah, they learn the word deagle and start harassing her to where they mess with her automated chairlift that goes up and down the stairs for her. And they pretend to be carolers, and she freaks out and goes to get on it, and then she gets thrown out the house. To which the cops are super incompetent and go, wow, that was Mrs. Deagle. Oh, there's a guy in a Santa suit. He has weird stuff on him. Can we go home now? I don't like it here.
Yeah, the most incompetent cops ever.
It's okay. They also have their just desserts for not helping anybody else. Where their car flips because they cut the brakes on the car and they can't slow down at all. And they take a turn and it's snowing and they flip and cause another truck to crash into an Allstate.
Apparently, I saw this on the, whatever it's called, it was a goof. On the X-ray. I think that's what Amazon calls
on Amazon.
Their thing. There was something there where it's like, I think the car stops or something. I'll see if I can find. Oh, here it is. Just before Pete cuts the line of the Christmas lights, the sheriff closes the window of the police car in order to keep the gremlins out. The window is alternately open and closed, and the shots following. Okay, I thought there was something else. Anyway.
Okay. So the cops are useless. The gremlins are terrorizing everybody. And then it comes down to Kitty and Billy trying to figure out how to deal with all of this. And they're alone in the bank at some point trying to formulate a plan. Like, where are they? Where could they be? And then the Katie girl trauma dumps on Billy. And I was like, who wrote this bit? Because this is a little extreme.
It's heavy. It also really makes sense. But then she's like, okay, let's just go.
Yeah, so she says she hates Christmas because her it really was a setup for like a soap opera about how dad wasn't home for Christmas, so they tried to look for him and they couldn't find him, so she tried to start a fire to stay warm. They're like, oh, something smells like it's stuck in the chimney, and then they go and they find out it's dad in a Santa suit tried to give him gifts. It got stuck in the chimney and broke his neck and died immediately.
And I think the line that made me laugh, because and he's like, and that's when I found out Santa wasn't real. And I was like, wait, that was your takeaway?
Yeah, that was her dramatic takeaway.
It's like, okay. I think if I remember correctly, like the reason why all this happens is because at this point, because I think it is Christmas Eve or
it's close. Christmas. It's got to be Christmas Eve because they tell Billy to go home and open his presents, and the mom was on the phone with the dad while he's at his inventors conference saying like, it's already Christmas Eve, are you gonna make it home in time for Christmas?
And yeah, so they
and then she tells her story about this is another reason why Christmas Eve sucks.
So they. But I think at that point, she's attacked at the bar, and I think there's, is there dead people in the bank? I can't remember.
I think there were dead people in the bank, probably. But yeah, so then they're at the bank, and then I forget what happens between that and them finding out, or oh yeah, they leave and then it's quiet and they're suspicious, and they're like, well, it's gonna be light out soon. Maybe they're hiding somewhere dark. And then you cut to all the gremlins in a movie theater watching Snow White and the Seven Dwarves and like freaking out and enjoying themselves.
I'll sing in hi ho.
And then Billy's like, you know what? I have an idea. And Katie's like, what? He's like, I'm gonna blow this place up.
Twice.
Yeah.
With one tank.
Yeah, so then they go to that gas tank and he sets up like a rag and lights it on fire. And they're like, all right, we gotta get out of here. And then it blows up twice. But before it blows up, Stripe wanted candy at the local department store. So while it's blowing up, Stripe is watching it as all of his buddies are dying. And Katie is like, oh no, in the department store, look. So then cue long sequence of them chasing after him. And everyone pretty much almost dying a lot of times. Like at one point, Billy gets like literal saw blades thrown at him.
He gets shot with a bow and arrow in the arm.
Yeah,
like...
he gets shot with a bow and arrow. He gets hit in the back with like the ball machine and all that stuff. Like he's really beat up. And then Stripe is like, I found the greenhouse in here. And then he goes and decides, and then he gets his gun, a literal gun. And he's like, I'm gonna wait to jump in the fountain until Billy can watch me jump in the fountain. It's like, all right, Stripe. A little dramatic, aren't we?
Yeah.
And Gizmo drives his car up and distracts him and tries to save the day. Then Billy's dad appears right at the right time to go, what's going on in here?
Yeah.
And then they start opening the blinds and this Gizmo opens the blinds up top to let the sunlight through to melt him as he's jumping into the water. So there's a really dramatic skeleton scene of him. Like it takes a long time for him to melt.
Yeah.
Again, this should not have been marketed to kids at all.
But it was.
And then, like you said, then the movie wraps up. They're all protecting Gizmo at Billy's house. And the Chinese man comes back and is, like, giving them the lecture. And then he takes them back and they act like, oh, man, we should have known better. And the final narrative at the end of the movie is, if things are broken, maybe it's not time to call the repairman. Turn on all the lights, because maybe it's Gremlins. I'm like, that's a way to give kids nightmares, but I'm not a parent.
Yeah. So, overall, like, I don't know. There's thing. It's not that the story doesn't, like, it doesn't, my brain, come on, work with what I'm attempting to say. It's, like, the story is definitely, like, contained, and it's just, like, I don't know if it super feels rushed at some point, but it's just, like, I don't know, it feels like everything kind of takes place when it should, but, it is, overall, it was just, like, a fun time.
It's fun. It's violent. It's a little scary. It's pretty funny, but...
I heard the second one's a musical, or there's a musical scene.
I think I've seen bits and pieces of the second one. I don't remember it too well.
I think I've seen clips of it. I think the second one has, like, a female gremlin, and it's, like... I think that's where the meme comes from, where it's, like, Luke talking to Yoda, and he's like, Yoda, look at this found. And he's like, college tough time it was.
Alright, so... I feel like my voice is disappearing, so are you ready to talk about the how Christmassy it is?
I was trying to think if there was anything else that I wanted to share about my viewing experience. Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. I'm trying to think if there was anything, like, I will say, those inventions just keep getting worse. To where the espresso machine just pours out black sludge. And
he's like, what's wrong with this? Why can't we drink this? And she's like,
He was smiling while he was saying, he's like, yeah, I know. Like, and then, oh
yeah, and then there's a whole lost plot line about Billy wanting to be an illustrator. And they have that one bit
Mm-hmm.
in the bar where he draws Miss Deagle as like an evil dragon.
Yeah. There's that. I will say the most excessive scene was, well, okay, there's two inventions that really stuck out to me that I find funny. One was definitely the juicer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way there's that much juice in one orange.
Also, why were the juices at the bottom? How are you supposed to juice them if...
I don't know. Like, I'm still confused on the amount of juice that shot out of one orange. I'm like, what were they injecting those oranges with in the 80s? The other thing was the fly swatter, where he hits it
What
and
was
it's
it
just a
supposed to do?
drill
Yeah.
and it just goes out and spins. It reminds me of this video I saw. Apparently Elon Musk erased a board at Twitter, and it's just a drill with 3 white erase markers attached to it spinning around, and punched my mic, and everyone's like, why'd you make this? This is just so much harder.
It's funny.
So I saw that and it made me think of that. Yeah. That dog's cool.
The dog was cool. The line that got me, that made me like start to laugh and go, "That's not funny. I shouldn't laugh at that."
Mm-hmm.
Is when the cake girl, in the most serious tone, goes, "Some people open Christmas presents on Christmas, and some open their wrists, Billy." And I went, "She said that?"
I do remember that. Now I'm trying to remember when in the movie that was.
It's when she's talking about like she likes talking to Murphy during Christmas because some people are more lonely during the holidays.
That's right.
And Billy's like, how? Everyone's happy on Christmas. She's like, no, did you know depression is at a really high rate in the during the holidays? He's like, I don't get it. It's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, suicide rates are through the roof during this time of year. He's like, I don't get it. She's like, all right, Billy.
It's like, why do I like you, Billy? It's like we're written to fall in love, Billy. You're lucky we're married in the second movie, Billy.
All right.
I will say, she had a real cool bank teller uniform.
Were you going to say costume?
I was about to say costume because they are wearing costumes, but it's just, I guess, her clothing, which big poofy shoulders.
Very 80s.
But yeah, we can move on. We have a couple minutes left in the timer, but we don't need to use all the time available because just like, well, I don't know. I think it's like the opposite of the Green Knight, where the Green Knight there was just so much that wasn't happening, but like the stuff that was like it was cool. And like we could talk a little bit about that, but it was pretty straightforward. Gremlins, there's a lot happening, but it's all surface level. There really isn't a lot of digging.
Yeah, there's also not a lot happening at the same time because
Yeah.
they have a lot of scenes of the Gremlins just like
Just
being
partying.
chaotic. Yeah. Which is fun to watch, and the puppets are cool, and the costumes are fun with them. But yeah, there's not much to say.
Yeah, I did while I was watching this. I was like, you know what, this would be a fun like I don't know what system, but it'd be fun. Like I don't know if it was like a Call of Cthulhu game, just based off of something like this. I was like, and for anyone that is like, why do you say this a lot? It's like, well, sorry, man. I do a lot of tabletop role-playing content stuff. So, deal with it. Don't worry. In about, 39 episodes, we'll have one where we can actually talk about tabletop role-playing. For the next series. It'll either be 39 episodes or a whole lot less. But let's start it off. Does this movie take place in the Christmas season?
Yes.
Yes. That is a 3. Christmas music. Also, yes. There's
Yes.
Christmas carolers.
They open the scene
scenes.
with the...
Well, they open up the scene with Chinatown.
Oh, okay. But when they get to Kingston
Yeah.
Falls, the main town it takes place in, they do the whole, is it Baby Come Home?
I can't remember.
And then they just have Christmas music
Yeah, and then
outside
it's just
of the carolers.
Yeah. So, but there's Christmas music also like throughout the thing, and it's actually people singing it, not like some weird ethereal medieval choir singing it.
Or Danny Elfman edit to
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that
Yes,
reminds
Christmas.
me, because you don't you don't normally listen to the episodes until you got to edit it. I did find a Jingle Bell thing that sounds so bad because we have our song that's just going and it goes doo, 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 and they just hear just oh my goodness, this sounds so bad, but whatever, it's in there. Is there Christmas decorations? I would also
Yes.
say yes.
There's a whole Christmas tree farm bit that's really that they do in the beginning.
Yeah, where it's just a sign to show that the cops at that town are terrible people. It's like, come on, give me a free tree, and random old dude's like, dude, I paid for my own, just shut up and take it. Just
Yeah.
shut up and pay.
There's a lot of like weird power dynamics in this movie because Miss Deagle also cuts in line and like
Every
forces
time
people
she's
out of
in
the
there.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
But
everyone in the bank is still like, "Oh, we have to protect her." It's like, I get it. She pays your bills.
It's the same old dude every time. It's like that old, that gets his hand stuck in the mailbox. Where this random priest comes out and he's like, I can't put my mail in the mailbox, and like the old dude's like, don't worry, I just gotta mail this one last Christmas present
And he gets his hand
on
pulled
Christmas Eve night. That ain't going nowhere. Yeah, and then he gets his hand eaten, theoretically. We don't know.
in by the gremlin.
Is there a Christmas moral? I don't. There. This
So
one.
what?
Yeah, I'm like.
They talk about responsibility, and then they talk about checking if you have gremlins in your house.
Yeah, but it's
Kind
like
of.
it's a. I think the most I'm willing to give this is a 2, but it's like I'm just sitting there thinking about it. It's just like Billy, like our protagonist in this movie, Billy was like, it felt like he had to learn responsibility, but he was already super responsible. Did he really learn anything except that people are depressed at Christmas? Or that,
Sometimes the girl you love has a traumatic Christmas story.
yeah, it's, but it's just like, never at any point in this movie was he irresponsible.
Is the moral that Christmas is not always a happy time? Because they did really emphasize that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, because it's this, like, at the end of this movie, like, did anybody really change? No.
No.
Like, because the dad is always the same. Like, he was, like, because he was, was he pushing a little bit to get the Mogwai in the beginning? Yes, but at the same time, he's like, at least the way I was interpreting it is that he was like, oh man, this sucks, but okay.
Yeah, it was more like, I got caught. I guess you should take him back.
Yeah, he got
Not,
caught. Yeah.
not, I'm sorry I took him. He was like, yeah, Billy, sorry to say, I did kind of steal him. And Billy's like, Dad, what? And he's like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So, but I'm like, okay, the mom, like, she learned that she could just murder a whole bunch of creatures, or always could have.
The town learned that they, this is why you have building insurance on every building.
Yeah. So, I don't know, like, it felt like, and then it's just like, oh yeah, electrical
It feels
problem.
like it feels like an afterthought.
Yeah. I'm gonna put a 1.
I'm fine with that as well.
Yeah, not that we have to match, but it's like,
No, but they like you said, they kind of like, it feels like an afterthought where at the very end they were like, and don't forget kids. I'm like, but like nobody did anything different.
no one
they
had
would've
any
done.
character growth. Not like there was really time to grow as a character. I don't know. I want to see the scenes like back at the place where it's just like the grandpa is just like, it's really quiet in here.
He's not singing
Is the
today.
Malquai dead? Well, I'll check it later. And it's just like, okay. Because like that's the other thing. It doesn't really say how far away this town is. Kingston Falls. Where's Kingston Falls?
If it's real.
I'm going to look it up. I'm going to assume everything's real.
Because yeah, if it's Chinatown, I assumed it was like New York City.
Yeah. Oh, it's in Pennsylvania.
Oh.
Well,
There is one in Pennsylvania.
Well, it is Kingston Falls is a town in Pennsylvania, as well as the location of the events that occurred in Gremlins.
Okay, so it was a short trip. It'd be like a day trip to get back and forth between New York City's Chinatown and Kingston Falls.
Yeah, so I'm just doing a quick look-see doodle just to see. It doesn't really say. Yeah, New York City. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just assuming New York City because I think the second one takes place in New York City. But yeah, so but yeah, they do that. Does the Santa appear? Well, we have
mentions of Santa Claus because Miss Deagle is like, oh, you can't pay your rent? Well, ask Santa for Christmas. You have the dead Santa. 2 dead Santas. You have dead Santa from being attacked by gremlins, and the cops going, huh, that's weird. I don't like this. Let's leave. And then you have dead Santa, which is Katie's dad. And then there's a Santa in a television set.
Yes.
That the one guy's watching, but there's no like Santa.
You forgot one Santa.
What's the other one?
I took a picture of him. I'm sending it to you right now.
Was there a gremlin Santa?
No. I forgot the things I sent you already, and they're just there on my phone. I'm like, come on, load, you piece of garbage.
It's loading.
On my phone, it's just a poop.
On my phone, it's or my computer, it's 2 squares dancing. Oh, it's a poop.
Hold on, let's see if I do this. Will it go? No, it's still poop. I will. Do you have your phone on you?
Yeah.
I will resort to the way we contact each other. Never. Oh, wait, I don't have your real name saved in here. There we go.
What are you talking about? Hop is my real name.
I don't have your government name. There we go.
That is the tiniest Santa.
That is within the first 5 minutes of the film, and I was like,
because his car's broken down.
Yeah, and I was like, that is so easy to miss. I'm taking a picture of it in case there's no other Santas to say we at least have a 2, but no, it is definitely a 2.
Yeah,
they're not the real Santa. No, I just typed 2 into something. I don't know what I did, but yeah.
So then this Gremlins ties with Batman Returns. Which, identical scores.
Which makes sense.
They both take place within the week of Christmas. They both talk about Christmas a lot for the first half hour. And then suddenly...
Then just like, whatever.
Just random like, oh, by the way, it's Christmas.
Now I'm just...
In case you forgot.
I'm wondering if there's a Christmas movie that would get below a 20.
A not Christmas movie? Oops.
Yeah. I
don't know.
I clicked out. There we go. There it is. So, and like,
it would literally just have to mention Christmas and like that's it.
Yeah. Because there's a child screaming. Because like part of me, well, no, I don't think we would change the Dark Knight. It's like I do like our categorizations, but I'm like, part of me wonders, would there be like more like something that we could like pinpoint?
I think the bigger thing we would be able to do is do it out of 5s.
Yeah, I think
Because
that
then you
would,
have like, yeah, because you'd have things that are like definitely yes, or like kind of yes, or like meh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some granularity
That's
to the score.
yeah. Well, that'll be next year's if we do this again. So yeah. With that, we only have one more movie. We have Die Hard.
The most not Christmas movie everyone argues about.
Yeah, the one when I told people that we were doing this, they're like, "You watching Die Hard?" Yes, yes, we are.
It's a requirement.
Yeah, well, we're not watching it next year if we do this again. Probably be Lethal Weapon because that's the one everyone else was talking about, and I'm like, the only thing they do is like they stop a crack farm in the middle of a Christmas tree farm. But anyway,
That would be one that gets less than a 20, I'd imagine.
yeah. But any poop. You want to talk about trauma though? I remember Lethal. Okay, so here's the one thing. I don't remember if I said this on other episodes. I was truly thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I've watched Die Hard. Like, I know so much about it, but I truly think I haven't watched Die Hard.
I watched it for the first time last year or the year before.
Yeah. It's like, I watched Lethal Weapon. I watched Lethal Weapon 1 through 4. Well, and then I guess 5 and 6, depending on which one Always Sunny does. But it's... yeah, I'm like, I don't think I've watched this movie. Like, I know the big points of it, but I'm like, oh.
There's a lot of good one-liners from it. In the way that, like, they were in Predator.
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure, like, my viewing of this is going to be like, the memes.
Yeah, plenty of familiar memes.
But yeah. But guys, this comes out... Well, obviously you guys are listening to it. It also reminded me that I forgot to share the last Sharktopus episode this week. Oh, well.
Christmas will be in a few days when this comes out.
Yes. The 19th. So, the day this comes out is when I take my 2-week vacation at the end of the year. Which all the corporation people, or the people that tell, like, employees, like, no, don't save your vacation time for the end of the year. And I was like, Kai, I'm not going anywhere. Just, I stay home. I come back on the day before we take break. So that way I can get free lunch and my Christmas bonus. And then I stay home for the next week. Do I have to use my vacation time to get that? Last week, even though the shop is closed? Yes. But that's okay. Because I'm not really going anywhere else. But yeah. So one more week, and then after that, you guys will hear about the next project, which I think... We talked about this back when we did Better Off Saul for what is coming in January.
That is not what we watched.
Better Off Ted.
Yes, Better Off Saul is the Breaking Bad.
I didn't watch that either. I watched the first episode of Breaking Bad and I was like, people like this? And then everyone's like, well, you gotta at least watch like 5 episodes. And I'm like, no. If I gotta watch that many episodes of a show, it's already failed. It should get me at least 2 episodes.
Right.
But anyway, that's a different conversation. But yes, we're watching a TV show that, yes, it did capture me in the first episode. And then Hulu tricked me. But yeah, we'll talk all about that in January. It feels weird to talk about January when December. Anyway, y'all have a good night. Hop boys get bitters. Bye-bye.